apparently we are live. It is Wednesday,
Wednesday.
May 21st, 2025, and Bitcoin has smashed through its all-time high, and it looks like it's now retracing. But
How high did it go? 110?
it went over 110, homie. We wicked all the way up to a whopping $110,761, and we are now retraced all the way back to $109,751.
Yeah. No, that sounds pretty good. That sounds like a new all-time high.
Yeah, I am happy to see that. I guess that makes that immediately, and I don't want to get too sidetracked into side conversation, but it does make me start to wonder, at what point do I start turning and thinking about the top being in? Like, are we going to get a euphoric blow off top, or are we going to get a little rounded knob of, oh, we all missed the top, and we should have, when it hit that all time high, we should have sold some or something. It's
Dude,
always what I go through at this time.
yeah. I've been thinking about that a lot. And so every bear market has had a reduction of a crash, like a reduced,
Yeah,
a less severe crash than the previous one.
yeah,
I don't remember the exact numbers, but something like 85%, 80%, 75%,
right.
something like that. Um, So if we were in line with that, this next one would be like 70%. But I don't think we're gonna drop that far. And the thing is, like, I'm having dangerous thoughts, right? Like, oh, we're not gonna have a bear market.
Right. I went through this last cycle. I was like, oh, you don't know, Bitcoin may never,
But we always have a bear
but
market.
we
So
always have a bear market, which is why I like to keep the 12-month candles chart
yeah,
up to help me. It's so clear for me to see it.
I mean, even Raul Paul was like, well, we'll probably dip like 40%. I think so anywhere between 40 and 70% would be a reasonable 2026, 2027 bear market.
Right.
Um, But yeah,
Well,
so Bitcoin's doing its thing.
yeah, and I suppose there's some other stuff going on in the crypto verse. Benjamin Cowan is right again, but that's not new. Um, the There's a class action lawsuit against MicroStrategy I read on TradingView earlier today. Let me see if it's still there.
Yeah, pop it up on your.
MSTR TradingView. Oh
Can
my
you
god.
share it on your screen on Zoom?
I will as soon as I pull it back up. God,
Yeah.
stupid MSTR. Don't want to resume searching. Get out of here. Okay. Well, it looks like it's.
Where are people suing because they're making too much money?
No, they were misrepresenting the amount of, I think, Bitcoin maybe that they had allocated. So I'm not exactly sure. Like I said, I briefly read it and then was like, oh, we're tonight. I mean, and the price is down it fell a major.
That's a weird thing to me that like MicroStrategy.
5.84%.
Yeah, it's strange to me that MicroStrategy and BlackRock and companies like that are not disclosing their Bitcoin addresses. And the thing is, they don't even self custody; they custody with Coinbase, which
Yep.
is really bad. I mean, talk about like, are you trying to like it's like if there was a way to kill Bitcoin, they're doing it. Like the way to kill Bitcoin is for MicroStrategy to buy more than 10 or 25% of the coins. BlackRock buys more than 10 or 25% of the coins. Both of them store all of their Bitcoin with Coinbase, and Coinbase already has like 5 or 10% of the coins. And then like all together like the control like and just put in like let's pretend the United States government buys 5 or 10 or 20% of Bitcoin supply, stores that with Coinbase. Like, you can't just everyone store their Bitcoin in Coinbase.
Right.
Like,
That
that's not a decentralized.
no, that's in fact the exact opposite of
Right,
decentralized.
right. Like, they're destroying the decentralization of Bitcoin, especially by custodying it with Coinbase. Like, that's just really dumb. And it does not surprise me that um there's an issue with MicroStrategy's Bitcoin custody, because that's what this is.
Well, it says MicroStrategy faces a class action lawsuit for allegedly misleading investors about its Bitcoin investments,
Right.
overstating
Thing.
profits and understating risks. Affected investors can join by July 15th, 2025. Unfortunately, and TradingView, get your shit together. I can't click into the story. Like it's not a clickable story. So it leaves me to go.
Honestly, it sounds like a really bullshit lawsuit. You know what it sounds like to me? It sounds like people are like, "Oh, look at all that money over there. Let's go sue it and try to get some of that money by suing them." Like, it sounds like the dumbest thing I've ever heard of.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, it might not be even real, I mean, that's the thing. Here's a breakdown of the situation. The allegations. The lawsuit claims that MicroStrategy, now known as Strategy, and certain executives made false and misleading statements and or failed to disclose crucial information about the company's business operations and future prospects. Specifically, the complaint alleges that MicroStrategy overstated the anticipated profitability of its Bitcoin investment strategy, understated the risks associated with Bitcoin's volatility, and downplayed the potential for losses following the adoption of a new accounting standard, ASU 2023-08, that requires companies to measure their crypto assets at fair value. Class period. Don't care. Lead plaintiff. Let's see here. Investors who suffered substantial losses during the class period may seek to become the lead plaintiff, representing the interests of all class members. Robin Skeller and Rudman, Bronstein, Gorowitz and Grossman, the Shaw Law Firm. I don't know who any of those people are, but they sound like legit. I don't know. We can click in and find out, but yeah, I mean, it sounds just like misrepresentation. Who's bringing the lawsuit? Is it including those of them? Okay. Investigations. So they've announced investigations and are seeking to represent investors. So it's a phishing attempt by lawyers, probably. They're gonna
yeah.
try to get them tripped up on something. If they can get enough people behind it, then it'll hold weight. But yeah, this kind of seems like a nothing burger. And I mean, you just take a look at the MicroStrategy chart here. Oh, do I need to share my screen?
Yeah, I don't see
I'm
your.
sorry, my bad, dude. Where were we? There we go. Right, that's the right one, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like it's
Yeah,
loading up now. There it is.
yeah. So I mean, this is the price action that result. Here, let me make it a little more viewable. um,
Doesn't look like that news article is affecting the price at all.
well, it did, and you can
Maybe
see
that
it.
one
You
red
can see
candle
it
right there.
right here. That's where it happened. This is when the news was announced. I know because I was looking
Yeah.
at the chart when it did, and I was like, "Oh my god, what the fuck is happening?" So I kind of panicked for a second there, and then I was like, "Ow, ow." Okay. But anyways, it was you can see here in post trade, like after the day is over and after hours trading, it closed at 402.67. It's already back up to 406.79. So it fell quite a bit though. I mean, that's a pretty big dip. If you're holding, especially
MicroStrategy is going to
buying
be.
right there.
I mean, as long as he can withstand a 70% drawdown in the bear market, he'll be fine. He withstood the drawdown last bear market, so
Mm-hmm.
um, and supposedly he's not over leveraged, so and he's careful with that, so it'll probably be fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably last bear market, MicroStrategy's market cap went below its Bitcoin holdings.
Ah, that's a great time to buy.
Yeah. If that happens again next bear market, I'm gonna load up on MicroStrategy for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Because like the way he does it is when there's a so that's when there's a MicroStrategy discount. When there's a MicroStrategy premium, like when the market cap is more than double the Bitcoin holdings, that's when they issue more shares.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why he's usually like buying tops, is because that's, when Bitcoin's doing well is when there is a big premium.
Mm-hmm.
And when there's a big premium, that's when it's profitable to sell stock and buy Bitcoin.
Makes sense.
And so issue more shares and sell it and then buy more Bitcoin. So, and then when it's bear market, that would be the best time theoretically to buy a Bitcoin, but that's when MicroStrategy has no cash.
Right. They've already spent it in the bull.
Well, yeah, and they can't issue more shares because then they'd be losing money since their market cap is below their Bitcoin holdings.
Right.
So, and no one wants to loan them money at the bottom either when everyone's worried about whether or not Sailor's going to get liquidated. So, um, that's why I'm myself, I'm not super pumped about MicroStrategy, because I feel like I could do a better job of buying the dip and selling the top, where Michael Saylor is kind of forced to buy the top and hold the bottom. Um, which is fine. Like in the long run, he'll be fine. I just and also like MicroStrategy is doing. You'd know better than me. You probably researched more than I have, about how they're doing the bond market and all kinds of stuff.
Well, that's an interesting play to me, and that's another reason why I'm in the asset. Aside from its gangster performance lately, I
Yeah, it's the number one stock uh, in the stock market. It outperforms Bitcoin.
it has for the last couple of years, anyways. Like
Yeah,
maybe
since
not, maybe not over the long haul, but it
during the
is.
bull market.
Yeah.
In
So
fact, that's the chart you should be looking at, is MSTR/BTC USD.
slash BTC USD.
Yeah, and then hit enter. Um, yeah, so there's the daily, and you can put it on like weekly or monthly to get more of a view. So that's the weekly. So that's going back what, 2 years?
Yeah. I mean, since May 9th of 22. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so
kind of when it bottomed.
MicroStrategy's been outperforming Bitcoin since May of 2022.
You can just see the rest of its performance.
Yeah, Bitcoin was outperforming. So the MicroStrategy started buying. I can't really read the years at the bottom of that chart.
Okay, this is
Where's
2020.
2020?
Right here.
Yeah. So I think August of 2020, I think, was the MicroStrategy started buying Bitcoin.
Okay.
See if you can flag that on there.
Is that August of 20?
Yeah.
Here. Hold on a
Okay,
second.
so that was a local bottom.
Let me make a little.
You just put a little arrow or something.
Oh yeah, I'm not super chart guy. Where is the arrow?
Let's see.
Hide options. Look at all drawings. Keep drawing.
Probably
Magnify.
higher up, like one of those.
Long position. Oh, it's gonna be one of these, I bet. Geometric shapes. Where's my?
Yeah, arrow. Do an arrow markup. Or
Okay.
that's a little more complicated. But go back to the thing underneath arrow. There's arrow markup.
Arrow marker.
Yeah, go
Oh,
down. No,
markup.
go down. There you go.
Oh,
Yeah,
I like this one. Um,
yeah. Whatever one you like is fine. Whatever.
whoop, I tried to click it.
Yeah, that's why I don't like it, because you have to like aim it. It's the yeah. So okay, so that's, and then the very bottom there is May of 2022. That was in the middle of the bear market.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, right now MicroStrategy is expensive compared to Bitcoin. Um, and I'm not buying MicroStrategy right now. But I'll definitely consider buying some MicroStrategy when this chart goes back down in the bear market, which it will. Yeah. Um, but yeah, dude, honestly, I think that's just lawyers being lawyers.
Yeah, that's kind of what it seems like it.
I highly doubt that Michael Saylor has less Bitcoin than he says he does. It, what they're saying is, oh, it didn't disclose risk. So he probably, Michael Saylor probably did not say the right things that lawyers want him to say. right?
Mm-hmm.
In some sort of risk disclosure user agreement or some bullshit. Who
Right.
knows?
Well, and like here's the reality from what I just read there, like they're basically saying that, hey, we're gonna start filing and investigating this class action lawsuit, and there's a period where anybody that wants to conjoin this class action, this period, and at that point, like someone can step forward to be the person who
Be the
represents the
victim,
whole class of people. Yeah.
right?
Like they're
Oh,
looking
I
for
was so
someone.
wronged.
Yeah, they're
I
looking for
was so
someone.
wronged by this asset, which went up more than all of the other assets. It wronged me so much. Just, I think we should move on to the next news article.
Okay, well that there isn't any really news articles. Well there is this, and it ties in because we were going to talk about stable coins after we
Okay.
did some of the news.
Yeah, what you got there?
This is Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, and
What did he say?
he says something very interesting regarding stable coins. I'll just go ahead and play it. You let me know if you can't hear it?
Okay.
And I'm here to assure you that
I
Could you
can't hear it.
you couldn't hear it? Okay.
No.
Let me figure out how to share my audio with you too.
But I mean, it's subtitled, so
Yeah,
something.
let me see here. Share. Multiple participants can share simultaneously. Advanced sharing. Well, where's the audio share? Hmm. Well, okay. I know that it can be heard on the stream, so yeah, you'll just have to
Yeah, that's fine.
you'll
I'll
just have to
suffer through it.
let me know if it's too fast. I can slow it down.
that
All
we
right.
are going to work with the controller of the currency, the IRS, and we're going to rescind and amend all applicable previous guidance. And we are going to put a lot of thought into the stablecoin regime. And as President Trump has directed, we are going to keep the U.S. the dominant reserve currency in the world, and we will use stablecoins to do that.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's kind of been the plan since Trump got elected.
Thank you very much.
Um,
Sorry.
like Trump is a big fan of the U.S. dollar,
And
and
I'm here
Trump
to assure
understands that there was. I heard a podcast. I don't remember which one, but the guys who orange pilled Trump, they did it by talking about gold first, which I think is a good way to orange pill anybody.
Sure.
And they said, look, Trump, um, the U.S. dollar is strong because we also have the largest gold reserves, which is probably true. If the U.S. didn't have any gold reserves, countries like China and Russia and whoever else could be like, you know what, fuck the dollar, we're going on the gold standard. And the U.S. would be like, no, not the gold standard. And they'd be like, yes, the gold standard. And we'd be fucked. But right now, the United States has more gold than any other country. So the other countries are like, oh, dollar standard or gold standard. Either way, the United States wins.
Right.
And we also have more Bitcoin than any other country. So like pick your standard. The United States has the most dollars, the most gold, and the most Bitcoin for
Yeah.
now,
Yeah. Well, and there are.
which which is good. Like, and I think we should stay that way. And that's how the guy orange pilled Trump, is by saying like, hey, the reason the U.S. dollar is strong is because we have the most gold. If we also have the most Bitcoin, then the U.S. will remain strong if Bitcoin becomes a big deal, which it is becoming a big deal.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think and stablecoins obviously are all stablecoins are already being used in other parts of the world, because in most countries' currencies are worse than the dollar. Most people in most countries, including Turkey, are super eager to obtain dollars for their savings. Like they want dollars. Um, International trade is priced in dollars. International debts are priced in dollars. Almost everything is in dollars. Oil is priced in dollars. Like, the dollar is definitely the world money. Like, other countries have their local currency, but they always have, their eye on the dollar. Like, they're always paying attention to what the dollar is doing compared to their own currency, and that um where was I going with that? But okay, stablecoins. So stablecoins are a way, as long as someone has an internet connection, they can get dollars. Whereas without stablecoins, they have to have like an actual bank account with actual like approval of the U.S. government to hold dollars,
Yeah,
or
and
approval of their own government to hold
right,
dollars.
and then they also run the risk of course, central banks taking their money,
Yeah,
nation
definitely.
states taking their money, and it's it's a dicey proposition, and sometimes there's just not access to banks. But beyond that, like I guess maybe we should get into exactly what a stable coin is.
Oh no, that's perfect.
You, you know,
Oh, you go ahead.
I've got an article here from Chainlink that I brought up. Let me move my stuff out of the way. I mean, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna read the whole thing here, but you can see the I think you can see the link. One second, let me make
Yeah,
sure
I
that
see
you
it.
can. Can you actually see the link? It looks like it's
Oh,
cutting it
I
off on
don't know.
my end. Okay, there's the link.
I mean,
Now
you could just
you can pause it and see the link if you want to look at the story yourself.
sure.
But what are stable coins? Cryptocurrencies are often known for their volatility. Stablecoins bring relative stability to cryptocurrency markets by allowing fiat currencies like the US dollar to be represented on the blockchain as digital tokens. These stablecoins allow anyone around the world to hold a token that's purposely designed to hold its value in relation to the fiat currency it claims to represent. For example, one USD stablecoin tries to maintain a value of $1. The desire for stable assets on blockchains has resulted in a wide adoption of stablecoins within the blockchain industry and decentralized finance. So essentially, I mean, well, I think that pretty much sums it up. There are several different kinds of stablecoins. There's USDT, which is by far and away the largest by market cap.
Other.
That Tether. Then you've got USDC or Circle, which is going to be the second largest. And then you've got a whole smattering of other coins that I, don't even really know too much about, to be honest with you, because
Yeah.
I mean, I don't use stablecoins all that much myself
Right.
personally.
Because we're in the United States,
We're in
we
the
have
United States. We don't
plenty of
need
access
to.
to regular dollars.
Hmm. But
Uh,
go ahead.
and so oh, did you want to continue?
Oh, I've got more, but go ahead. What were you finish your
No,
thought?
no, no. You continue. You continue.
Okay. Well, I was just going to say that the article walks through kind of how these things work, and it goes into oracles and using oracles to maintain an accurate price.
Hmm.
We can do a whole separate session on oracles. They're very very important. Chainlink is the 800-pound gorilla in the room when it comes to oracles. But essentially, it's think of a feed of information from one place to the next with prices being updated regularly. So like maybe you can do a better job of explaining what an oracle is in like 5 seconds. But but at its core, stablecoins are cryptocurrencies that try to maintain a peg, quote, the same market value as an external asset they represent. And we kind of went through that already. But you have them from different kinds. Like there's dollar stable coins, there are euro stable coins, Japanese yen stable coins. There are stable coins based on gold. Uh, and they have a variety of approaches to make their price stay consistently like pegged to that valuation, right? There are different ways that you can do it. Um, they usually they consist of having something as collateral. Usually the asset that it's being represented. So if it's dollars, they want to keep dollars because that's the asset that they're representing on the blockchain. If it's gold, they want to keep gold. If it's digital assets, like sometimes there are stable coins backed by Bitcoin, and actually I would imagine that most of them are backed by some Bitcoin. Um, and so they need to actually have the Bitcoin. Same with they list them here: fiat collateral, digital asset collateral, and commodity collateral. Um, so two.
XP is a popular one that's backed by gold. That's pegged to the price of an ounce of gold.
Say that again.
Pax G
Oh, sure, PaxG.
is pegged to gold, and they have gold in vaults
Right.
to back it.
And so that's how they can maintain the valuation that they, of the unit, right? And so, like, USDC is a centralized stablecoin issued by Circle. They're a US based company. Each USDC is backed by $1 or an asset with equivalent fair value held in off-chain accounts with regulated financial institutions. Customers with a US dollar bank account can redeem 1 USDC for 1 USD, ensuring that the tokens maintain their one-to-one peg with the US dollar. Other similar collateral centralized stablecoins include USDT, BUSD, TUSD, USDP, and others. Some centralized stablecoins enable the user to freeze tokens belonging to certain addresses, effectively making the frozen tokens unusable. This method can be used by stablecoin issuers to freeze large amounts of stablecoins obtained through protocol hacks or exploits, or, and don't misunderstand, your specific tokens if the wrong people are at the helm, right? So stablecoins, it's an important thing to mention that stablecoins are not free of, uh, control. They're not immutable.
They're not decentralized.
That they're not decentralized. They are not
They're
immutable. They
they're
are.
not censorship resistant.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to say. And that's why I mentioned that part. What are they used for? They're an integral part of cryptocurrency and Web3 ecosystem and account for a significant portion of its trading volume and underlying economic activity. Stablecoins offer some distinct benefits over their traditional counterparts due to blockchains being the underlying mechanism facilitating the transfer of value instead of opaque, outdated, and manual processes. Centralized stablecoins effectively allow for value pegged to fiat currencies to move globally between wallets without the need for intermediaries to facilitate the transfer. So they take the dollar and they get it off of the traditional banking rails, right? Normally, if you want dollars, you've got to get them from the U.S. You've got to, and traditionally, it's by holding their bonds, right, in your account, I think, and then you can start creating your own dollars once you get enough of those, right? Isn't that kind of how it works?
Sorry, my cat was distracting me. How do I create my own dollars?
What's that? Oh,
How would I
well,
create dollars?
no. So if you want dollars, right? You're a Indonesian bank, and you want some dollars because dollars are the best.
Yeah.
Well, you usually, I think, you have to actually, buy some U.S. government debt.
Yeah, you probably have to get some dollars from the central bank.
That's what I mean. And
Like
how do
that.
you do that? By taking out bonds.
Well, they have actual dollars, yeah, most countries like to sell or like to save in bonds because they get an interest rate as opposed to just straight dollars, which
Right.
don't have rate.
And I
Don't
believe
have,
that they can also, through fractional reserve banking, at that point, I think they can create their own dollars. I'm not really
yeah,
sure.
yeah, they can use most banks, and I'm not sure about the international rules. They usually hold treasury bills as collateral and then issue loans, which is creating new dollars using the treasury bills as collateral. And they can do that, like you said, fractional reserve banking. So they maybe have $1 million in treasury bills, but they might have $10 million in
Loaned out.
loans that they've created.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, um, well, I guess one of the things I wanted to mention was that the largest holder of U.S. government debt, I believe, is Tether.
I don't think they're number one.
You don't?
No,
Hmm.
I think they're number seven, or
Okay.
there's other countries that are number one, probably China or
I thought I
Japan.
had heard that they were. But anyways, regardless, yeah. Anyway, anyhow, I found that very interesting, and
Yeah,
that ties back to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent's claim that they're going to maintain dollar supremacy through stablecoins. Um,
right. Because the main issue the United States is facing right now is that we're issuing a bunch of new debt every year, and we're kind of past the point of no return on that. And other countries are realizing, like, hey, maybe it's not the best way for me to save for my country to earn 5% on treasury bills while the United States is making 10% new dollars every year.
mhm,
And so they're switching to gold and other things, maybe Bitcoin, but for sure gold.
mhm,
And they're not buying as many treasuries, and that's causing a problem because there's a whole market for bonds and treasury bills and stuff, just like there is a stock market and a crypto market. There's a bond market, I don't know much about it, but they can trade at, less than face value, which I think they are right now because there's more supply than there's demand. The United States government keeps creating more supply of treasury bills, but there's less and less demand as China and Japan and other countries don't want to buy the shit anymore. And so someone's got to buy it for the system to keep working, where we just print money willy nilly like we are. And it turns out that Tether is a really good buyer of treasury bills. And because Tether might take in, let's say, $1 million in cash that people are buying Tether tokens, and they give out 1 million Tether tokens. Now they're sitting on $1 million in cash, but they don't just leave it in cash. They turn it to $1 million of treasury bills. Now Tether's got $1 million in treasury bills, and they're making 5% on it, or 4%, or whatever the interest rate is, 2, 3, 4, 5%, and so with that interest rate, that's just pure profit, right? Like that's just pure profit for them. And 5% on $1 million is what, 50,000, but they have like billions of dollars. 5% on $1 billion is 50 million. And I don't know what their profit was, like $1 billion or something. I don't know how they made that much profit, but Tether's making Tether's making a lot of profit. Circle's making a reasonable amount of profit as well, and the stablecoin issuers are very comfortable with, um, holding those treasury bills, and they're just making money on the spread, right? They're giving away these tokens which don't have a yield, but they're holding the treasury bills which do have a yield, and they get to keep the yield for themselves as profit.
Right.
And the United States government at first was like, "Oh, what's going on? These people are obviously criminals," and then and now they're realizing, "Oh, wait, we're the criminals, and these guys are actually going to facilitate our crime for us by buying our treasury bills that literally nobody else wants. Like the other countries do not want it." Now, retail in other countries loves dollars, right? As much as the foreign governments are learning, like, hey, maybe dollars are dumb, and maybe holding treasury bills is dumb. But retail in other countries, they love dollars because their pesos or lira, whatever fiat they have, is even worse than the dollar. So they look at the dollar, and it's like, oh, like I can hold the dollar, and I can get way more when I'm ready to spend. When I'm ready to spend my savings, I'll have way more pesos or way more lira uh, than I started with by holding dollars in between, right? And so the so Bessent is like, yeah, we're gonna support the stablecoin bill. We're gonna have stablecoins, and the United States wants that because those stablecoin issuers, Tether and Circle, are buying the treasury bills,
Right.
and they want those treasury bills to get bought,
Yep.
so that they can
Finance their
sell.
spending.
Yeah, so they can make more. That they're making, more than $2 or $3 trillion of new dollars every year in the form of treasury bills.
Right. Right.
And so that's the whole thing. And at the same time, yeah, the very interesting. And I want to re-emphasize that the stable coins themselves are centralized on whoever created them. Like
Right.
Tether is centralized on Tether. USDC is centralized on Circle, Coinbase,
Right.
and it doesn't matter if it's on a decentralized blockchain like Ethereum. The coins themselves, the Ethereum coins are decentralized because that's the native token of Ethereum. But the stable coins, the Tether USDT and the Circle USDC stable coins on Ethereum are actually centralized. And so it doesn't really matter. So that's another thing. Like, one thing I like to say also about stablecoins is they're very useful for a bunch of things. Like Robinhood, for instance, is already using stablecoins to settle cash in their customers' accounts. Because normally, like if I sell stock in my Robinhood account, I have to wait 2 or 3 days for the cash to settle through the banking system. But now Robinhood can settle it quicker by moving stablecoins around on the Solana blockchain, for instance, and it's settled within a couple seconds as opposed to a couple days. So I can get my cash a lot sooner, which I like it. Like, that's awesome. And Visa is using stablecoins for the exact same thing, because Visa is kind of like a centralized blockchain, really. Like, Visa's got to keep track of everyone's payments, right? Like, I'm buying shit at the store with my Visa card. Well, now the store has a credit on their Visa account, but they don't have the money yet. Like, Visa's got it, and it's got to send, like, so Visa's always moving dollars around, and Visa, just like Robinhood, Visa's got to wait a couple days for it to settle through the banking system. Well, not anymore. Not with stablecoins; they can settle it faster. And remittance payments, like, people are paying a fee to send money internationally. Well, now you can just send stablecoins on whatever blockchain you want: Ethereum, Tron, Solana. And Tron is a very centralized blockchain, but if you're sending stablecoins, who cares? The stablecoins are centralized too.
Yep.
So people use the centralized Tron blockchain because they don't care, because you're not gaining a lot of benefit. I mean, it's just one less person that can rug pull you, I guess. Like, Tron can rug pull you, and like Ethereum's probably not going to rug pull you, but Circle and Tether could still rug pull you, or whatever government agency is pressuring Circle and Tether to rug pull you. But so when people talk about payment systems, like, for crypto, like, a big thing about crypto, ever since I've ever even heard about crypto, everyone always made a big deal. Well, when are you going to be able to buy a coffee with Bitcoin? When are you going to be able to buy a car with Bitcoin? And, like, when are you going to be able to, Dogecoin's a joke until, a hotel starts accepting Dogecoin as payment. Like, no, dude, like, the crypto payment is going to be fucking stable coins. That's what everybody wants, is dollars. Nobody wants, average Joe does not want to receive Dogecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana. They don't want any of that shit. What are
Yeah,
they gonna do with
they
that?
want dollars.
They got bills to pay. They got to pay their employees. They got to pay their rent. They got to pay their lease. They got to pay their suppliers. Businesses have bills. Everybody, all the people have bills. They pay in dollars. Everyone's got loans that they pay in dollars. Everyone's got people want dollars. Everybody on the whole planet wants dollars,
Yeah, most
especially.
people think of their crypto in terms of the fiat currency that
Sure.
they use to buy it.
And so that's why stablecoins are such a big deal, because crypto payments are going to be stablecoin centered.
Yeah, I mean, here's an article I just posted on, on that's,
What do you got there?
it's from Visa, and it's a deep dive on Solana, a high performance blockchain
Wow,
network.
look at that.
You know, I mean, transaction throughput at scale of Visa is something that there aren't too many blockchains that are capable of doing. It's the stuff we've talked about before.
Yeah, Solana's super networks.
Ethereum handles an average of 12 TPS. Bitcoin manages around 7 TPS. Like, it's just not enough
No.
to handle all the transactions.
Right. And so
But you've got. Well, sorry, I was getting something there. The
yeah, I'm
Solana,
sorry.
the approximate time to finality is about 0.4 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So that's actually fast enough.
Oh yeah, most definitely. One of the main reasons I like Solana is because of Visa using it for stablecoin transfers, right? That's so people are like, oh, when is crypto going to be used for payments? Probably never. The stablecoins are used for payments, but the stablecoins travel on a blockchain. You can't send stablecoins without using some sort of blockchain, be it Ethereum, Tron, Solana, whatever. It has to be on an L1. That's why I invest in L1s mostly, or almost entirely, actually. It is because that's that's what that's what the stablecoins are going to move on. Like, payments are important, I don't think they're necessarily the most important thing, but they certainly are important. Most people see crypto and cryptocurrencies and they're like, to most people, payments are the only thing that matters because that's all they use money for is payments. And they're like, oh, cryptocurrency is dumb. No one's ever going to accept crypto as payment. And they're probably right. But what they're missing is people are going to accept stablecoins as payment.
Yeah.
And stablecoins don't function without an underlying blockchain. And so,
Yeah, so it comes down to what blockchain will end up winning, this battle to become the chain used for most of these transactions.
yeah, and definitely right now it's a battle between Ethereum, Solana, and Tron. I
Yeah.
think those are the top three for stablecoins.
Yeah.
And Sui, I think Sui's somewhere in the pack,
Yeah,
fourth, fifth,
they're
or
they're a
place.
dark horse, I would say. And you can look at it here. Like this is to me, this kind of sums it up. You've got Solana blocks until confirmation, one approximate time, zero point 0.4 seconds. What's Tron? The next, or actually Ethereum is actually the closest of those three that we mentioned. The closest one to Solana and blocks until confirmation, 12, approximately 3 minutes. To tell your time to finality. Tron is worse at 19 blocks until confirmation. It takes
Yeah,
one less minute though,
yeah.
or two
Interesting
two
thing
less minutes.
is some of the main blockchains are Ethereum, Tron, and Binance (BNB) Smart Chain.
Sure.
And what a lot of people may not realize is both Tron and Binance Smart Chain are forks of Ethereum.
Yeah, I think I had heard that now that you mentioned it.
Yeah, and like as far as I know, they're both forks of Ethereum, and um, well, there was an old Binance Smart Chain. I'm not sure. It might be a fork of, it might be a Cosmos
Something's
SDK,
built on the
but
SDK. Yeah.
it might be. But at one point for sure, Binance Chain was an Ethereum fork, and they just they just copied Ethereum and made their own chain out of it. Um, and Tron's not the fastest chain. I'm not really sure why Tron is so used. I guess people trust Justin Sun somehow
Well, I
more than
think that I think that it's I think that it's most of its user base is in Asia, and I
right.
think I think that maybe there's something to do with like the regionality of it, perhaps, Like
Yeah,
I think that if you're a Westerner, you're probably Tether USDC, and if you're an Easterner, you're probably Tron, is my guess.
yeah, Tether on Tron.
Tether on Tron, right?
Yeah, and yeah, Tron is not very. It's not very well suited for mass adoption. It's doing fine with what it's dealing with right now, but it if the more traffic Tron gets, the higher the fees will be, and also the whole time you're worrying about whether or not Justin Sun's going to rug pull you, which Justin Sun rug pulls all the time. Justin Sun
And
Justin
then,
Sun bought wrapped Bitcoin, right? You were talking about pegged coins,
mhm.
WBTC on Ethereum, right? Was a centralized place where you could send your Bitcoin, and they would send you back tokens on the Ethereum blockchain called WBTC, which were pegged to the Bitcoin. But they custodied the actual Bitcoin, and you could send them WBTC back, and then they would promise to send you the equivalent amount of Bitcoin. And that worked okay for a while. Again, a very centralized coin on a decentralized blockchain, but the coin itself was centralized. And Justin Sun bought the company that controls WBTC. And then, you know what he fucking did? He took all the Bitcoin that WBTC owned and swapped it out for the equivalent amount of Tron tokens.
Yeah.
So now WBTC is not backed by Bitcoin anymore. It's backed by Tron tokens,
Yep.
which means it is all the way worthless. And I wouldn't touch it with a 300-foot pole, but people are still using it like it's just fine. And Justin Sun has all the Bitcoin. And what's he doing with it? He's buying Trump tokens. So you're gonna have dinner with Trump.
Awesome.
And, yeah, and actually, ironically, Justin Sun is the advisor for World Liberty Financial. Trump's DeFi company.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Sun's the advisor on that.
Well,
He's like the technical advisor. I think Eric Trump is running it, but Justin Sun's the technical advisor, and no surprise, huge portions of the holdings. I mean, they've got Ethereum. I think that's their main holding, but they also have a shitload of WBTC, not on-chain Bitcoin. Nope, not that. They got WBTC. Why? Well, so that that's more money in Justin Sun's pocket, and all he has to put up is Tron tokens. And what else do they have? Oh, Tron tokens. They actually hold Tron TRX as a significant holding. As one of their top 5 holdings. The World of Financial.
You've got to have a second leg for your stool. You've got to.
Well, yeah, I do think if you look at CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap, number 1 Bitcoin, number 2 Ethereum, number 3 I think is Tether, or is it XRP? Yeah, pull it up and Tether's usually number 3, 4, or 5, and Circle's usually somewhere close to the top 10.
Bitcoin,
yeah, Tether's number 3.
Tether.
Yeah, Tether's number 3. And so, I mean, that shows you, stablecoins are important. Stablecoins are the 3rd largest thing in crypto. And Circle's on there too, isn't it?
Yeah, they're number 7.
Number 7, yeah. So number 3 and number 7 are both stablecoins.
Mm-hmm.
That shows you, they get used a lot.
Number 10 is Tron.
Yeah, of course. So... Yeah, and you could even look at DeFiLlama.com. It's got a really good breakdown of how many stablecoins are. I look at that a lot when I'm looking at TVL, because you can look at TVL and Ethereum, and oftentimes they're counting liquid staking tokens and shit. To me, that's not really TVL. That's people trying to stake on the blockchain, right? TVL is what are people borrowing and lending against? What are people? That to me is more TVL. So I like to look at the stable coins on the blockchain. Do you have DeFi Llama? What are you looking at there?
Oh, I just it looks like Bitcoin was back above 110 for a second, so I was going to see if it was blue skying or not. Just over real quick.
In between sessions right now, the Asian session's starting.
Yep.
They'll probably dump it. Who knows?
Well, in any event, that's what I was doing. Yeah, stable coins, I don't know, man. I feel fortunate that I don't need to deal with them, because to me it feels a little like it could be an attack vector for your crypto.
Oh, definitely. They're centralized.
Yeah, and
it doesn't matter what wallet you have or what chain you have them on. Your stable coins are always vulnerable to attack.
Right.
Because they're centralized.
Yeah, but not only that though, they're easily spent. And so, if somebody does get their hold on it, even if they can be frozen, they won't be frozen for you. But even if they would, they're probably not going to be around long enough. Because as soon as they get those, they're going to use them for something else right away, because everybody takes stables.
Yeah, most hackers will swap them out for Bitcoin. Or you mean merchants?
No, I meant the people who are taking them. The people
that
hackers.
Steal it.
Yeah.
That
steals.
The crypto of choice is Bitcoin, because that's the one that can't be taken away from the hackers.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That it's the most decentralized, most immutable coin, and so that's what they want. Not because it's useful for crime, but because it's useful to not get taken away from you.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually terrible to use Bitcoin for crime, because it's traceable and trackable, and you'll get caught.
Yeah, it's on a public ledger.
Right. And the smart criminals use Monero. That's
privacy coin.
Yeah, you want to use Monero if you're trying to crime. But
a crime.
If you just want to save your crime, Bitcoin is where you want to save it. It outperforms Monero price wise. Yeah, I would just swap through Monero and then get Bitcoin. Whatever. This is not a crime channel. Go ask Hayden Davis. That's his name, right? The fucking the Libra and Melania coin sniper rug puller guy. Hayden, is it Hayden Davis or Hayden? Yeah, Hayden Davis.
Yeah.
Hayden Adams. Hayden Adams is the user swamp guy. Hayden Davis is the criminal. Yeah, it was Hayden Davis, and he's probably, I don't even know if he fucking even bothered with using Monero or anything. But anyway, yeah, stablecoins are a big deal for the United States, for the Treasury bills, for people in other countries that want access to dollars that don't have access to American bank accounts or American dollars in the banking system, and that they still want to, save in dollars or transact in dollars. Um, it's great for Robinhood to settle accounts, settle stock trades faster. It's great for Visa to settle Visa transactions faster. And by faster, I mean faster than a day or two,
Yeah.
which banking system takes. Whereas, like you said on Solana, in 0.4 seconds.
Right. Fast. It's a lot faster.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
So,
I guess I would say that uh, for me personally, right? Like we just kind of went through like what stablecoins are and why
mhm,
they exist and why some people use them and why some
mhm.
people want to crime with them and whatever. But like, I haven't really talked about my personal use of stablecoins.
Go for
And
it.
well, and I mean, I was just going to mention what that is, right? Like that's basically non-existent. I don't use stablecoins. And maybe I would if I was in a country where I couldn't access US dollars, but I am in a country that I can access US dollars, and so, I don't convert my crypto into stable coins, but that's because I can swap them for cash and put them in my bank account pretty quickly. But what I sometimes will use stable coins for is for what we in the crypto industry affectionately refer to as dry powder, even though it's a completely asinine term to use. Um, and that is to say that we want the ability to have some cash on the sidelines ready to purchase additional assets when they go on sale. And the reason why I kind of like the idea of using stables for that is because while they're pretty easy to spend, they're harder to spend than US dollars. Um, and so it actually might be a way for me to try to keep some of my portfolio from the risk of me just spending it, right? Because it sits in US dollars in my bank account. There's a chance I just spend it, you know.
You'd rather have it in a crypto wallet where it's safe from yourself.
Right. For example, right? That's one reason why I'm kind of considering, using stable coins this cycle to hold when I do sell the top.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, yeah, DeFi, and I mean, yeah, I mean, there's as
Which I'm
many
not
uses.
messing with. I'm not messing with DeFi right now, but maybe I will. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, I think stablecoins are a big deal or a big thing to be aware of, and um, XRP has this big hope. There's these ISO 222 coins, of which XRP is a leader, and then followed closely by Cardano and Stellar Lumens and Algorand and HBAR, and all those coins are total fucking trash, in my opinion. And I'm just an Uber driver, so I could be wrong. Definitely wrong on the price action of XRP, this bull run, but um, but XRP didn't do much last bull run, and that's because XRP is making promises that it's not mathematically possible for them to deliver on.
Oh, they're
XRP,
lying.
yeah, they're
That's a
saying
nice
that,
way of saying they're lying.
right. Like they want to replace the whole banking system. Well, they do 15 transactions per second. They're not replacing anything, and um, and they like to say they're decentralized, and they're not. Like one measure of decentralization is where are the tokens, and which we touched on right at the beginning of this episode, talking about, well, it's not a good idea for Coinbase to have all the tokens because MicroStrategy and BlackRock gave them all the tokens of Bitcoin, but 50% of right now MicroStrategy and BlackRock each only own about 2.5% of the Bitcoin supply, and XRP own or Ripple, the corporation that created XRP, owns 50% of the XRP supply, and they sell a little bit of it almost every day. They're just selling it and selling it and selling it all the time, and then and then they actually want to buy. Ripple wants to buy Circle because that would give them some legitimacy, and I hope that they don't buy Circle because I like USDC. It's one of the stablecoins I like. Yeah, because then Circle would be unusable by me. Yeah, but I don't know. I think that it's important to understand that stablecoins is what is going to be used for payments, and it's important to understand that stablecoins need to run on a blockchain. It's not going to be XRP. XRP is struggling to run anything, let alone fucking stablecoins. And stablecoins run on Ethereum and Ethereum L2s. They run on Tron. They currently run on Solana. They run on Sui, and there's a few other blockchains that are fast, such as Aptos or Say, and and then there's there's a bunch of other blockchains. There's Elrond, EGLD. There's Polkadot. There's I don't need to mention every L1. There's hundreds of them, each having different trade-offs. And I think speed for stablecoins, speed is probably about the only thing that matters. Speed and security. You're not too worried about decentralization because the token itself is not decentralized. For me, I still would prefer to use a decentralized chain, which is why I like Ethereum and Solana, and why I don't like XRP, why I don't like Tron, that's why I don't like BNB chain. That's why I don't like and that's why I'm not buying big into Sui, for instance. Like Sui is fast, but it's not very decentralized. I think it has about 140 or 150 validators, which is not very decentralized. Another one like that is Sonic, which used to be Phantom. Not to be confused with the Phantom wallet for Solana, which is I bet is why they changed their name. Probably because the Phantom wallet for Solana became much more popular than the Phantom blockchain, which renamed itself Sonic, which is a very fast blockchain and has a lot of DeFi on it and stable coins and all that, but it only has 50 validators last time I checked. It's also very centralized. Aptos is less decentralized than Sui, or in the ballpark, about 100 150 nodes. I don't know. I mean, the majority of all transactions in crypto happen on Solana.
Yep.
Solana's a really big deal. Like if you're looking for Solana is pretty good in a lot of ways. They're very fast. There's very few, if any, blockchains that are faster than them. They're somewhat decentralized. They have over 1,000 nodes, which is way better than 100. It's 10 times better. They're 10 times more decentralized than a lot of those other chains I was mentioning. 1,000 times more decentralized than something like BNB chain, which only has like 23 validators. And Solana is pretty good. It's an argument can be made that Ethereum is more decentralized, but Ethereum is also a lot slower. And an argument can be made that Solana is about as almost as decentralized as Ethereum is. And of course, Bitcoin sets the standard for decentralization and security and all that, but it doesn't really have the capability of doing a lot of extra things besides being a store of value because of its slowness. And it's not Turing complete either. Like Ethereum and these other smart contract platforms we've been mentioning are Turing complete, which means they can have full programming loops on them, which just means that you can make complicated programs on them, such as decentralized finance programs or casinos or meme coin casinos or actual casinos or whatever you want. You can put that on the blockchain. And actually, I think Tether actually started on Bitcoin, believe it or not. Like, I think it was like they made it a token on the Bitcoin blockchain like 10 years ago.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. That's right.
And then, Bitcoin, immediately became too expensive and busy to use stablecoins on it. And so they moved over to Ethereum. And then Ethereum became too busy and expensive to use it. So they
Have
moved over to Tron and BNB chain is where most of the action went initially. And then, Polygon,
Well,
Yeah, well,
in summary, John, what do you think is the most important two things to know about stablecoins?
the number one thing to know about stablecoins is that they're centralized and freezable and confiscatable, no matter what blockchain they're on. And also, I think the other thing to realize is that they require a blockchain to run on.
Okay. I I think that the most important thing to know about stablecoins is that they are designed to be pegged to another asset on a one for one or similar ratio. And I think that the number two thing to realize is that they don't always hold that value.
Yeah, that's true.
And you like I remember when I first heard of stablecoins, I was like, these are brilliant. They're never gonna have any like how are they ever gonna have a problem? They're just a dollar, one coin, $1. All you have to do is have a dollar in the bank. You're fine. Well, that's not the only way. There are algorithmic stablecoins, and
But even Tether and Circle have depegged it at different times.
yeah, yeah. In fact, it happens semi regularly, like to be a little bit off of the peg.
Oh, they've pegged more than 5 cents before.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just saying, like, it's not uncommon for it to be 2, 3 cents off.
Yeah,
It's uncommon to be as much as 5 cents off. Like that's pretty wild.
yeah.
But anyways, yeah, definitely it can happen, and so you can literally find yourself in a situation where your dollars don't buy as much as they're supposed to, and um, yeah, that's it. I think that's it for today. I think that that's all that I can think of on stablecoins. So, John,
Okay.
unless you've got any other thoughts, we'll go ahead and kill the stream.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, thanks everybody for watching. Remember, please, if you liked the video, to give us a like. Consider subscribing if you enjoy these videos and want to get them sent to you every time we make one, and then also ping the notification bell, and you can actually catch us when we go live next time. Thanks so much, and we'll see you guys next Wednesday.